Attention is the new oil, and the best way to capture attention is through videos. Now, a lot of people think making viral videos is just some complicated formula with luck, and others just make content to get views, fame, and ultimately money. So if you're a content creator, a business, or even a content agency, this video is for you. You're gonna learn how to structure your videos for virality, but also how to be valuable at the same time so you're authentic and not salesy. Enjoy this private webinar that I hosted for insurance agents, and I know that might sound crazy, but that just goes to show you that the knowledge I'm gonna give you works for any industry, any business, and any creator. Enjoy the video. So today what we're gonna talk about is how to create a viral but also valuable video. Now, when people think of virality, they think of all these views, all these comments, all these likes. Yeah, it pretty much is that. But I like to see viral as you're hitting a quality target audience rather than just like random people. I like to say, whether it's my friends or business partners or situations in my life, I like to have 4 quarters rather than 100 pennies, right? So it's better to have quality, less quantity, but more quality when it comes to the views and the interact. First thing when it comes to making videos, and I think you guys have touched this a lot, is destroying limiting beliefs. I started from ground zero in high school. I don't know if I can compare to where you guys are at, but I had a lot of opinions and a lot of eyes on me, and I had to learn how to absolutely destroy those limiting beliefs and the opinions of other people. I always say that fear kills more dreams than failure. I don't believe in failure at all, because if you learn from something, if you innovate, then you technically didn't fail. You kept pushing. So biggest thing is to get rid of those limiting beliefs. And there's actually an 8-step process, which I'm going to go through and show you guys super quickly on how to do that. So with anything, whether it's a relationship or a business problem, whatever it may be, the first thing you have to do is identify. So you take a moment and think of what exactly is holding me back. Is it my cousin that's watching my video? Is it maybe my kids that might be seeing it? And common limiting beliefs include thoughts like, oh, I'm not good enough to make a video. I don't have the charisma that all these influencers have, or people are going to judge me or make fun of me, or I'll never be successful or get these amount of views. So what I always like to do is, instead of keeping them right here in your head, just start writing them out and become more aware of what's holding you back, right? Now, the second part, which is super, super fun, is actually challenging your beliefs. So look for evidence in your life and see if the things that you're thinking are actually true. Okay, are my kids actually gonna care a lot about this video? Are people truly gonna judge me? And start challenging it. And if it's true, then you have to start reframing your thoughts. So instead of telling yourself, I'm not good enough, think of your story. We all are unique. There's only one of us in this world. There only will be one of us. So we're all unique, and we all have our own story, our own qualities, and our skills. So the more you shift your focus on that, the more you can realize, okay, what I have to offer, not other people have to offer. And once you keep that mindset, you'll become more valuable and see yourself more valuable, not in an egotistical way, but hey, I have something that these viewers might not have, and I would love to share it. Kind of like what I'm doing with you guys. So once you reframe your thoughts, you have to, I like to at least start doing affirmations, writing down like, okay, I'm going to do X amount of videos this week. I'm going to get through, stumbling my words on this video, and repeat statements such as, I'm okay with sharing a video. I'm okay with making more videos. I'm going to be successful with making my videos. It's a law of attraction. The more you say, the more you do, the more it'll become actual reality. So same with reframing your thoughts. You have to actually visualize success. If you're sitting here and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't make any videos, and you just think of yourself not making videos, well, then you're not going to make videos. Visualize yourself writing out the scripts, which we're about to go into a little bit. Visualize yourself. Ultimately, what I like to do is visualize myself providing value to people and the impact that I have. Because if you can think that way, then you don't think of all the opinions in between. You just think of how much value I can get out, how many lives I can change, how much self-awareness I can bring to people. I'm gonna go to the next slide. I might play these videos again, but I'll pause. So the last part of limiting beliefs. So now that you've built the confidence, it's time to ride the momentum, and you have to ride it like crazy, but take it step by step. Empires aren't built overnight. It takes brick by brick. So start small and practice. So what I like to tell people is you start your videos on a super small scale. Start sharing it to people, get people's feedback, some mentors, maybe even your kids. Ask your kids like, hey, hitting the right audience. And then remember that practice makes progress, not perfect. None of us will ever be perfect with our content, but you'll be more progressive with it. And like I just mentioned, it's really, really smart to ask other people's opinions, especially in this community. Like, get each other's feedback. Is this video good? Is this topic good? And also start engaging with other creators or maybe influencers or friends in the same environment, because you guys are just going to feed ideas off of each other and grow. It doesn't get better than being around a supportive group of people, right? And then that's where, most of your limiting beliefs are going to be pushed out the window, because your group, your circle, you're going to challenge each other, right? So that leads us into the 7th point, is embrace a growth mindset, and don't think of like the negative feedback or the setbacks as an obstacle. Think of it like I talked about last time, like a trampoline. Okay, I'm learning what I'm saying wrong, that I'm presenting myself wrong, whatever it may be. And then the biggest thing, which is super, super important, if you didn't listen to anything, listen to this. Celebrate your achievements. I don't care if it's, you finally did 30 seconds without stumbling, or you got 100 views. Whatever achievement that you achieve, you need to celebrate it, big or small, however you want to. Don't disregard the progress, because let's say the videos start going crazy and viral and all this value is given out. Well, you're not going to appreciate where you are, and you're always going to want more and want more and want more. So take the time truly to celebrate your success and your confidence in front of the camera, but also as the views and the comments start to come in, make sure you celebrate that as well. If you want to add anything to that, Tyler.
Yeah, Nick, I want to add, it would be like maybe the second step. So now it's 9 steps. When you identify these limiting beliefs, take them to someone that knows you. Take them to someone that can speak truth into your life. Oftentimes that can be the best thing for us, to just have that bounce back off of someone that we know, like, and trust, and them actually tell you who you really are and how they really see you. Oftentimes the limiting beliefs that I've had, after going through that process of bringing it to someone that I trust and having them speak into me, they almost seem silly afterwards. Like, I come out of those conversations going, why on earth was I sitting there thinking that I had nothing of value to add? I have tons of, it literally builds you back up, and you'll realize that these self-limiting beliefs are just lies when you take it to someone that knows the truth. And oftentimes we don't know it ourselves, right? We've all been in those kind of heavy, dark places day to day when we start spiraling out of control and the limiting beliefs start popping up out of nowhere. Take it to someone that knows the truth and allow them to build you back up. The last thing I was going to say in regards to this portion of the presentation, guys, the practice part, I've mentioned this before, but I recorded close to 300 videos on my phone that have never, ever, ever seen the light of day. Before I ever made my first post, I recorded 300 videos, mostly while driving, which is not the most safe thing to do, so I don't recommend that. But I would just pop up my video on the dash, since I was doing nothing in the car anyways, and I would just start speaking. The hilarious thing is, every one of them starts with me saying, "Hey guys," or "What's up guys?" There were no guys. It was literally just me in my car by myself. But having done that 300 times, when I finally went to create a video that I was going to post, I'm like, "What's up, guys?" Like, I've done this before. I've done this 300 times before. It was so much more comfortable. And guess what? Those 300 videos are atrocious. Like, back to the, I don't have any value to provide. Like, it's questionable whether or not there was any value to provide. And that's why they never saw the light of day, right? But that practice, that repetition, it's no different from dialing. It's no different from appointments. How do you get better? You do more, right? That's why we role play. before we get into those environments, so that we've actually been there before we get there, right? So keep that in mind as you start practicing this stuff. We're not saying you got to start practicing every day by posting a video every day, but what if you just started recording one, right? The coolest thing for me now is I can go back and watch those videos. And any self-limiting belief that pops up today, I can remind myself of what I sounded like 6 years ago, right? And I can see the growth and the transformation. So it's super, super powerful to have those videos for the recall later on. All right, let's go, Nick.
100%. Let me add real quick. So I'm not going to play these because they're super loud and kind of annoying. But if you go back through the slideshow, this was my first ever talking head video. And you just see how my hands are like all over the place. I didn't know what to do. And like, it was all over the place. And then I have my most latest video where I'm just like relaxed. And not only is my charisma different, but the way I tell the story is a lot different. So if you do want to go back and see, this is like what, a 9 months difference right here, then you'll be able to see it a little bit. And I'm going to try to skip this so fast so it doesn't yell at us. There we go. Boom. Okay. So we talked about content ideation a little bit last week, and what we're really going to dive deep into everything, the hooks, the call to actions. But a lot of people, including artists, we have what's called creative blocks, right? So this is where you just feel lost or confused or like super foggy when it comes with creating content. Well, to be honest, the possibilities are truly endless when it comes to content creation. And what I've seen with different content creators and coaches and influencers is the one common denominator that you'll find in a successful video is storytelling. If you can just tell a story, that's all people want to watch, right? That's why like on TikTok or Facebook, you see people that are like, did you know that, Ronaldo won his World Cup with this? And you just keep listening and listening. That's because they're telling a story, right? So what I like to do with content ideation is there's different sections and then pillars within it. So if you want to come up with content ideation that ultimately ties to your industry, that's personal and credible, first and foremost, think of the ups and downs that you've experienced in your life and even your career. I know for me, when I was young and running my agency, I lost $7,000 in 1 hour before, and that hurt really bad. But now I can take that, and I'll make a video soon talking about this is what I learned from it. So yes, that was a setback, but now I turned it into a video and value that other people can learn. And also I've had great success as well and learned things about content that I can share. So really think of like, what wisdom or experience do you have that others don't? And just start writing it out. Like, okay, I went through this, I won this award, I closed this many clients, and start writing out those topics. The more you can give, the better. Now, it doesn't have to be personal. This is where we can go into the credibility side. Think of what's trending in your industry. Is there something in some other corporation that is affecting the market, which affects your industry? Is there a new AI that everyone's talking about, a shift in the market? This is really huge because it'll show your credibility and your personality, like we talked about last week. And if you can, it's not easy, but try to capitalize on trends and just deliver news to people. Like I said, the trends like AI, this new AI will help you, close this many policies. The more you're on that, the more credible you will be. So let's say you're still having creative blocks. Well, these are different pillars, content pillars that you can use. So the most basic one is value driven. Did you know that if you haven't, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, if you haven't gotten renewed a policy, that you're missing out on this or this? Or testimonials. Ask your clients, ask your friends, your family to make videos or interview them, right? And that can also come with podcast clips, which is a little bit down the road, but a lot of people will just hop on quick podcasts, even Zoom podcasts, and take little clips from that. We talked about personal stories. So all of these are all connected, but it's different style of content. Basic value, testimonials, so that's more within, personal stories, podcasts, interviews, and so much more. If you want to add, Tyler, let me know.
Yeah, guys, testimonials don't have to be a direct quote from a client, right? The reality is we sit down with clients every single day, every single week, and we have the ability to share the story of what played out in those appointments, right? So start thinking when it comes to your content ideas, use what you're already doing to be the ideas for the content. So every single appointment that you have, the second that you get off of it, I just pull out my voice recorder, jot down a couple of notes, or just pull out your phone and record a video real quick, just telling the story of what played out, right? It's probably a good practice anyways, to be able to reflect on what went well, what didn't go well, to improve. But also you're going to be logging away these stories that you can use for content later on down the road, right? Hey, just got off Zoom, met with a young couple. They didn't have any life insurance at all. And it made me realize, like, most young folks are not putting the level of importance that's needed on their life insurance coverage. We were able to sit down, got them a policy approved immediately, no medical exams, and they were thrilled by how cheap it was, because again, they're young. So don't wait, get life insurance while you're young, yada, 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 right? Like, that's just from like one meeting that you just got off of. That's an incredible video to generate leads for people that want to sit down with you. And every time you leave those testimonial, or every time you post those testimonial videos, we've talked about this before, but it's giving your followers something to be interested in. And it's giving your followers something that may resonate with their exact situation. So the more testimonial videos, which again can just be stories you can do, the better. And the last thing I was going to mention is authenticity, guys. This has absolutely nothing to do with faking anything, trying to be something that you're not, right? So be authentic with these stories. It's logical to believe that, man, I'm trying to put out this content so that people end up scheduling an appointment and end up getting life insurance. Like, I don't want them to know about my bad day that I had yesterday. I promise you, them seeing you authentically talking about the ups and downs as you go through this career is going to create so much more credibility and trust than the person that's just showing the highlight reels that their life is perfect and amazing and everything's going well. People want to relate to people, and authenticity is the bridge that's going to get you there. So this is not about faking it. This is just about being you. All right.
100%. Yes. And that's the biggest thing. And I want to give a quick example real quick. I had a client and she was a fitness coach, and she's a very unique fitness coach. She helps women lose weight, but she helps them more focus on the mindset, on how to love their body, but love their body throughout the process, not the end result. So a really quick example is she used all of these pillars. So one of them was value driven. She literally just sat down in the gym on the floor and said, hey, ladies, if you're struggling with, your self-image in the gym, this is what I've learned, or this is what you can do. So that's value driven. Testimonials, one of her clients, she went up to her. She's like, hey, Katie, what have you learned working with love your body, whatever, right? And Katie talks about it. That's a testimonial. And then my client would talk about personal stories. She talked about one time how she was Nashville's strongest woman. She pulled a truck on Broadway at 3 a.m., like all this crazy stuff. She had her own billboard, but then she lost her boyfriend. She lost function in her leg, all this stuff. So she made a personal story about it. But then she talked about how I never gave up. I kept pushing. And now she's, owns a gym, all of this crazy stuff. So she knocked out those three. And even she has her own podcast now, Love Your Body podcast, where she brings on different guests and trainers and interviews. This one has been super unique. Since she's here in Nashville, we've literally gone on to Broadway when people are all over the place, partying, drunk, sober, whatever it may be. And she just asks them, hey, what do you love about your body? And you get the most wildest answers. So I say all of that to say, like, her niche, her industry, she was able to do all of these. AI. So Tyler mentioned as well that you guys have talked about a lot of ChatGPT, how to utilize it. So what I'm going to do more of is how to help use ChatGPT as a foundation. So I write some of my scripts, and I write all of my clients' scripts initially from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, as you guys know, is a super useful tool to help with the content ideation. But what it really comes down to is that prompt. That initial prompt is super, super important. So you got to think of things like, what is your topic? Do you want to be funny with it? Do you want to be professional? Do you want to be convincing? Do you want it to be short? So I came up with one quick example and we'll run through it. So the prompt that I gave ChatGPT was, write me a script on how one should review their life insurance policy and give the benefits of reviewing it and the cons of not reviewing it. So Chat gave me 4 benefits and then 4 cons. You don't want to copy and paste this as your script. First of all, everyone's going to know, and it's going to be boring, I promise you, because you still have this robotic answer, but that's where you come in, your personality, your authenticity, and your experience. So Chat gave us assessing, adequate coverage, adapting to life changes. Like all of these topics, you can tie a story into, you can tie creativity into it. Even the cons, insufficient coverage. What have you seen in your life? What have you seen in other people's lives? And all of these points can literally be one video alone. But if you use ChatGPT, which I recommend, is just use it as a foundation. It's going to spit out some facts for you, and you can just build off of that and add to it. So you guys saw this, and me and Tyler whipped up something amazing for you guys. You guys saw this last week, the short form formula. This is truly the formula to have a viral, but also a valuable video. Once again, when it comes to that initial idea, we're still talking about content ideation. Think of the idea, just the topic you want for a video. Then if you want to go deeper into it, think of if you're providing just generic value, if you have a insurance policy, you need to know this, or are you solving some type of problem? Once you identify both of those, or either or, because a value can be within a problem, then think all the way to the end, like I discussed last week, of the solution. What is your ideal client avatar, your ideal viewer? What is their desired outcome? What do they want to learn from this video? Because that's important, right? So once again, I'll go through this quickly and then I'll show you an actual example. Once you have that topic, you identify if it's value or problem driven, and you have the end result. Remember, we bridge everything in between. How do we do that? With the hook. We have a strong hook. This is where you grab your target audience's attention. And once again, it takes 1 to 3 seconds just because our attention span is so short. Tyler just talked about how he was in his truck saying, hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Tyler. That's great. But if I'm looking at it on my phone, I might just scroll away. But if he said, if you have an insurance policy, I would have been like, oh, shoot, he's talking to me. Or did you know? Oh, shoot, once again, he's talking to me. So that first 1 to 3 seconds is super, super important. Now, you don't have to have a strong hook every single time. Maybe you want to just be like, hey, guys, talking to your followers, completely fine. But if you want to have a viral and valuable video, then that first 1 to 3 seconds is super important. Now, once you've hooked them, this is where you jump into the message. And this is going to confirm to the viewer what you said in the hook is going to be all throughout. That value, that information is going to be all throughout the rest of the video. So this is where you start digging deeper into it. And then you have some type of example that is personal, practical, tactical, or even applicable, right? And I have another sticky note here. Give an example that is relatable. Tyler just talked about storytelling, authenticity. They want to relate to you. That's all it is. They want to hear a story and they want to relate and they want to learn how they can get value out of it. And we're going to dive deep into each of these sections. And then lastly, explanation or call to action. Explanation could simply be, or your hook was, did you know this? Explanation is, so if you were looking for that, then do this. It's next steps. Call to action. This is really up to you guys. Where do you want to funnel your viewers? Do you want them to comment? Do you want them to follow for more? Do you want them to click your link in the bio? You have the power, if you do all of this right, to funnel them wherever you may be. So I think after this one, we dive deep into it. So last week we talked about the 3 C's method, creativity, consistency, and conciseness. That's kind of goes with your content ideation. But when you're actually talking to your audience, because that's probably the hardest part, is pulling out that camera and being proficient and prolific with what you're saying. So I have a 3 C's method when talking to your audience. So first off, once again, guys, be creative. don't copy this influencer or don't copy this person with your content, because it's not authentic and it's not cool. Like, people want to know you for you and your ideas for you and your stories for you, right? So your content, once again, is your billboard. So do not advertise like everyone else does. Just be you. Be what's true to you. I will say right now, there's a lot of young hustlers in the agency space like me, some younger than me, making more than me. Or making more connections. And I always look at their content and I'm like, man, I should have talked about that, or I should have said it this way or this way. And they even tell me, they're like, no, don't worry about it. You have to just be you, tell your stories. And literally my latest video on Instagram, I did that and like everyone loved it. And I was like, what the heck? This was like the most authentic and creative I ever was. Like, this is cool. This is nice to put up the correct charisma and everyone like it. So be creative. And then, which the second C will take time, but be confident. And the reason I say this is the viewers will sense the vibes that you are giving off in your video. If you're not passionate, really, instead of confidence, it's just say passion. If you're not confident or passionate about what you're saying, they're going to see it easily. If you're just like, hey guys, if you want to review your policy, then you should do this. But if you're like, did you know that if you have not reviewed your policy, like, there's a big difference there, right? So remember that your content is a reflection of yourself, your services, your company, and maybe even your family, right? It's a reflection of you. And lastly, which ties into the confidence, is be cheerful. Be grateful, and this goes back to the mindset. Be grateful for the opportunities and the gifts that you have, because you're unique. You're not like anyone else. And be grateful that you have the the honor to share that to other people. A big saying that we say in the agency space is it's never a job to work with your clients. It's an honor. It's an honor, not a job. Because you have value that you can provide to other people, and they're going to leave you, whether they like it or not, better off, right? And it doesn't get better than that, I promise. If you want your podcast. All right, so we're going to dive deep into the hooks. So like I said, first 1 to 3 seconds is super, 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 super important. You have that super small timeline to capture exactly who you want to talk to. So ask yourself, how are you going to do it? Are you going to have like some cool transition? Are you going to talk to the camera? Are you going to be away from the camera? Are you going to show scarcity in your hook, relatability, or value? And I gave you a few hook examples right here, just to get you guys thinking and seeing like what that looks like. So for example, stop doing X if you want to achieve Y. That's a really strong hook. So for me, that would be like, stop looking at other people's content if you want authentic viewers. That's a good hook. If you're struggling with X, here's a few good tips. Another one is, here's one tip to achieve that desired outcome. So now that ideal target audience knows what you're talking about, and that if they're struggling with that, they're going to achieve that answer throughout the video. And a lot of these are relatable, and there's so many ways you can go about it, but how to do X in 3 simple steps, or biggest mistakes you're making when doing this, or why you should do X in this type of routine. And I actually want to show you guys this video. So a hook, like I said, you have to capture them in 1 to 3 seconds, but who said that your hook can't be like 10 seconds long? So in this video, I talk about how I've worked with podcasts, and my hook is in the first 1 to 3 seconds, but you'll see, I'll say, if you want your podcast to blow up overnight, then do this 3-step process. And I keep going into it. So I want to show this real quick, and I might not show all of it, but I want you guys to get a good idea. Has to blow up overnight, then follow. Whoops. If you want your podcast to blow up overnight, then follow this process. I've been able to scale podcasts who are getting a few views per video to millions of views per video by doing just this. So right there, yes, my hook was in the first 1 to 3 seconds, but it's actually 10 seconds long. I talked about, I told them, if you want to blow up your podcast, then I talked about this, this, and this, and then I dive deeper into it. First, you need to find those captivating moments in your podcast, which I'll show you guys that later. But I just wanted to show you that your hook can be as long as you want. And honestly, the longer your hook is and more strategic, the more you're going to retain people. And I think I talked about last week how like Impractical Jokers or like a prank video or these movie clips on short platforms go more viral because people are retained longer. So I think a little bit of this is cut off. So I'm going to jump the gun a little bit, but now we have the hook and the call to actions. Now, call to actions are super, super, super cool in my opinion, because it's like fishing. You hook them in the beginning, and now it's up to you to reel them in. You know, you have the control of where you want to reel them in, how you want to reel them in, and how fast, right? So some really simple but very converting call to actions is follow for more. If you enjoyed this video, if you got value, follow for more. Or if you like this video or said topic, leave a follow and go through my past content. I'll say right now, this second one is super, super underrated, especially if you boost your videos, because what you're saying is you're really establishing that credibility and saying, hey, if you like this video, if you follow my account, go through my past content and stick around, you're going to get even more and more value. There's coaches doing multi-seven figures that are doing this call to action right here, and not a lot of people talk about it. So I highly, highly recommend this one. Then there could be simple ones. Say you talked about, you know, getting a policy review. Well, then you could be like, hey, comment review if you enjoyed this video, or if you want me to DM you about more. Or if you want more tips on this topic, then do X, Y, and Z. Another good one that'll help engagement and virality is, hey, if this video was helpful, go ahead and save this post or share it to some friend. And lastly is a really, what's the word for it? It's a really convincing one is, so if you have not done it yet, start today. That's setting that authority and credibility figure with your audience. And I think these are pretty much the same, but follow for more, click the link in my bio. I feel like that's probably very applicable to you guys. If you're talking about a said topic and that viewer is super interested, then say, hey, click the link in my bio. Let's talk more, or sign up for my newsletter, whatever it may be. These are very, very good call to actions. And like I said, it's super fun because you have the power. You hook them, and now you have the power to take them wherever you want. If you want to add anything to that, Tyler, let me know.
Yeah, the biggest thing I wanted to add, guys, is as we're talking through all of this, keep in mind that the same principles are going to work for your graphic post as well. In the workroom a couple of days ago, we were talking to Callan, I think it was, who had an awesome post, had a ton of really powerful information, but there was some like setup on the front end. So someone would have to click see more to actually get into the really, really good stuff. Use these hooks and think about it the same way that you would in a video, just as you're typing the caption for the post, because again, you've got fractions of a second to capture somebody's attention while they're scrolling. Make sure the most powerful stuff is right up front to get their attention. And then you can use this exact same formula for the graphic post that you guys are doing. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned that, because my mind is always on content, video content, but graphic posts, same exact concepts, and they convert very well. Very well. So let's see what we got next. So me and Tyler, about 2 hours ago, we worked up a really nice example for you guys. So everything that I talked about, it might have sounded like a foreign language, but now I'm going to make it make sense for you guys. So I can go through all this if you want, Tyler, or we can like jump back and forth because you know it a little bit better than me.
I'll jump in.
Okay, cool. So like I said, you have to start with the idea. Well, me and Tyler came up with an idea for the video. We're going to talk about policy reviews. That's our idea. Now, we can turn it into some type of problem or some type of generic value. The problem was people are spending too much and not having living benefits, right? That's a problem. Now, value is there's access to way more options. So you can either hook them by talking about what they're missing out, or just, generic options out there. Now, the end result, the ideal outcome for your viewer is they're gonna have peace of mind, they're gonna save money, and they're gonna have additional benefits. And obviously there's more more ideal outcomes than that. But that's some generic ones that is really going to impact the way their life is going right now. So I think the next one, this is the really good stuff. And yes, we can zoom in. So the hook, the best part. How are you going to grab their attention? Well, me and Tyler did most of this part. He said for his hook, did you know that if you haven't had your life insurance policy reviewed, you could be throwing money away each month? That's a pretty strong hook in my opinion, because he's talking to me. Okay, I haven't had it reviewed, and honestly, I feel like I'm missing out and throwing money out. So he hooked me. Well, now let's see what he talks about next. And the message is truly what he's talking about. So after he has that hook, he talks about, most insurance agents, they work for one or two companies. We work for you by partnering with 30 plus companies to give you the very best options. So with this message is still tied to the hook, which is really smart. This is going to keep them hooked, but also he's asserting that credibility within the hook. So I really liked how you structured it here, because you didn't just go straight from the hook to the ultimate message. You kind of keep them hooked in the message. And then the example you gave here is, we've met with clients on 200 million. Sorry, we met with
Zoom.
clients. Yeah, it's hard to read it on Zoom. Okay, my bad. Every week, simply to make sure they have the best possible plan in place. Sometimes they do, and we recommend they keep it, but sometimes they don't, and we're able to deliver options that will save them money and provide far better protection. So now you've really got the viewer thinking like, okay, they're not trying to sell me necessarily. They're saying like, hey, there's options out there. It may be what we have is for you, maybe it's not, but they're being valuable, right? They're providing value to me. They're making me value or problem aware. And you can go deeper into the example if you want, maybe add some type of story or example.
I want to mention one thing that guys, this is a video that you guys can literally create and post and generate appointments for policy reviews and bring in a ton of warm market business. The key in the story or in the message, you have to let them know that if they have the best possible coverage, you're going to recommend that they keep it, right? Hey, we're going to sit down and take a look at the coverage that you currently have, but you know what? If what you have is the best thing for you, I'm going to recommend that you keep it. That is the golden line to establish credibility and to establish the fact that they are not going to get sold something. If you can provide a testimonial or a story about a client that you did sit down with, or not necessarily even a client, a friend, family member, someone on social media, you want to give them examples that play out the scenario that you're talking about, right? I sat down with somebody last month that I had met here on Instagram. We reviewed their policy, and guess what? It was awesome. They really didn't need anything better. So I just recommended that they keep it. Do you know how much that takes the guard down from actually being willing to click on that link to schedule an appointment with you, to know for a fact that they're not going to get swindled into some shiny new policy that they didn't actually need, right? So that's a key point in the message on these policy reviews.
100%. And I'll give an example for me as well. We have a lot of people book calls because they want content made or content direction. And we're very niche. We're very particular with who we work with. And I've had people book a call with us before. They have the biggest budget ever. They've got a lot of money they want to spend. But what I do, say, for example, we just do short form. Well, they want like YouTube long form. I'm like, hey, I have the team that can do it, but it would be an injustice if I committed to that. So here is someone else you could do, or stick to what you're doing. So just like Tyler said, it's very valuable, and it shows your authority and credibility at the same time. And who knows, they might come back needing it, or they might have a family member or a friend or a business partner needing it. And you don't even have to sell them now, because the person that you left off better with has already sold it, right? So let's jump into the call to action. So what Tyler put is, so after he talked about the policy review, I don't know why that's messed up. Hold on. It's not wanting to zoom in over there. So he says, okay, if it's been a while since you've had your policy reviewed, let's have a conversation this week. You deserve to have the best. Let's make sure you do. It's as simple as clicking the link in my bio and, just picking a time for what works best for you. I'll take care of the rest. That's a super, super, super solid call to action. Now, if you just read this before all of that, you would have been like, what does this guy want from me? But the way that Tyler presented it, the call to action is not salesy. It's like, hey, if you need it, let me know. If you don't, let me know. Either way, we're cool. So I really, really like how you structured all of this. It's perfect. Yep, this is you now. I'm going to give you screen sharing options if that's cool.
Yep.
Because mine's being dumb, as you can see as well.
I got it. All right, guys, I want to go back through and actually like say this whole script all together, right? You would be able to weave in a few more words, a little bit of color here, a little bit of color there. But here's how that video would actually sound. Start with the hook. Did you know that if you haven't had your life insurance policy reviewed, you could be throwing money away every single month? Most insurance agents work for one or two companies. We work for you by partnering with 30 plus companies to give you the very best options. We meet with clients on Zoom every week simply to make sure they have the best possible plan in place. Sometimes they do, and we recommend that they keep it. Sometimes they don't, and we're able to deliver options that will save them money and provide them with far better protection. If it's been a while since you've had your policy reviewed, let's have a conversation this week. You deserve to have the best. Let's make sure that you do. It's as simple as clicking the link in my bio and picking a time that works best for you. I'll take care of the rest. That was like 40 seconds, maybe? So super, super short, but all the are in there, and that video will convert to policy review appointments, which in my opinion are the easiest appointments to close, by the way.